Away we go. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome, one and all, to Coffee Talk. It is time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world today, taking a look at some clips from the news, and having some dialogue with those of you who were able to join us for the live portion. And if you wanted to, if you're listening somewhere else, you can find us Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Coffee Talk and Prepper University. That's at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat. You can find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. Being joined today by two felines. I've got Daniel sitting in the chair behind me. You can clearly see. And then Uncle sitting in the corner, and you can't see him. Always hard to miss. I do try to read through as many of the comments as is reasonable, and I'll say hello to some of the people that have been able to chime in thus far. I see Donna Beaver is here. Says, remember, thumbs up, like, and share. Please do. Screwtube hates me, but I'll take all the thumbs up I can get. Rodney's here. Jane. Rain Man. Dragon is here. And who else? Holly is here, excuse me. Cyberjack Sr. is here. And Jane says, Erickson on the radio said U.S. gave weapons to Ukraine and Israel. Do you think we will have to go to war eventually? I don't know. I'm sure they would love it, regardless of what the politicians say, Democrat or Republican. I'm sure they would love it because there's a lot of money in there. There was a lot of money. And Donna says that they got their notification at 2:01. At least you got it. At least you got your notification. But yeah, I mean, we're on a lot of fronts, split between Taiwan and Ukraine and Israel, although the current administration is most heavily involved in Ukraine. And then, of course, there's the whole mess with Venezuela, and they're calling on the U.S. to get involved in that. And yeah, it's not that hard for the United States to fall into a situation whereby we'll end up putting boots on the ground instead of just funding it and generating the problem that way. And Rodney reminds us warmongers have a huge amount of political influence. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Or war pigs, as it were. If you asked Ozzy Osbourne, he would tell you they were war pigs, I believe. As we get ready to jump in here and take a look at what is going on in the world today. And yeah, big surprise. I mean, it's not that much of a surprise, although they acted like it was a surprise. ABC News article. Oprah Winfrey is the surprise speaker at the DNC. Are you shocked? Are you shocked that she's in with the in crowd, that she's down for this, that she's another, in her case, multi-billionaire celebrity hack toeing the line? And D-Lo has joined us. I'm not surprised at all to see Oprah toeing the line, although there is an interesting contrast to this. So there she is. She's on her downswing with the weight loss at the moment, as you can tell, unless she just has a lot of girdles on. You know how it is with Oprah and that macaroni and cheese. Oprah Winfrey making a surprise appearance called on Americans to choose joy and common sense over nonsense during a rousing speech at the Democratic National Convention on Wednesday. What we're going to do, this is a quote, what we're going to do is elect Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States. Thanks for letting us know, teacher. Are we in a kindergarten class? What we're going to do today is vote for Kamala, K. She said after taking the stage to one of the loudest receptions of the night. Winfrey laid out the 2024 election on a series of choices voters have to make and singled out independents and undecided voters while noting that she herself is a registered independent. I don't care. Quote again, more than anything, you know, this is true, that decency and respect are on the ballot in 24, and just plain common sense, she said. Common sense tells you that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz can give us decency and respect. Wow. She urged voters to further choose optimism over cynicism, common sense over nonsense, and the sweet promise of tomorrow over the bitter return to yesterday. If she could write like that for her movies, they wouldn't suck. We won't go back, quoting again. We won't be set back, pushed back, bullied back, kicked back. We're not going back. We're not going back. Let us choose truth. Let us choose honor. And let us choose joy. Yeah. And together, let's all choose Kamala Harris. Because that's the best of America. Listen to this. But more than anything else, let us choose freedom. Why? Because that's the best of America. We're all Americans. And together, let's all choose Kamala Harris. Uh-huh. You know what I get tired of? This section right here annoys me the most. This quote. Let us choose truth. Let us choose honor. Let us choose joy. Show me the truth and the honor. Where the hell is it? Where's the truth and the honor? Did I miss it? Show me a politician with truth and honor. Period. Where the hell are they? Even on the lower levels. Your community leaders. Where's the truth and honor? I get tired of hearing about truth and honesty and transparency and ethics and morals from people that can't demonstrate it. Chillin has joined us. Glad you could make it today. And Rodney says Oprah will be gobbling down that Ozempic stuff like candy. Must be. And Chillin says, not trying to sound like an ass, but every single Democrat that speaks makes me sick. For real. Oh, no. Oh, no. And Dental is here. He says, top of the day. Glad you could make it. And Tuck said, decency from home-wrecking slave driver Harris. Monkey is here, catching up. As I catch up some of these comments. Dental says, democracy for a Democrat is something else to choose for them. It's socialism, I promise you. Socialism. And Rainman says, this reminds me of when she said, you get a car and you get a car. But in the context of her DNC speech, I think she would say, you get a vote, you get a vote, you get a vote. Exactly. That's a good analogy. Oh, and by the way, something they never tell you, when Oprah used to give away those cars, and when Ellen used to do that, I believe it was Ellen, right? You're still responsible for the tax on those. And a lot of people couldn't afford it. So they got a car they had to give up. Rodney says 99.999% of politicians give the rest a bad name. Indeed. And a couple more here. Monkey says, did you hear that California Senate committee approved a bill to where the illegals could buy homes with £0? I think I have a story coming up on that. And Fluke Man is here. Glad you could make it today. But Oprah Winfrey, I mean, she's a shill anyways and doesn't need to be, because she's one of the wealthiest people on the planet, okay? Where everybody, I remember Ice-T in an interview way back in the 80s. Was it the 80s or no? It would have been the early 90s, excuse me. And they were like, well, what? How can you say that black people don't have a voice or don't have any power? And he's like, where are them black billionaires at? Which, by the way, there were black billionaires at the time, mostly in Africa, mostly warlords, quite frankly. But yeah, there's plenty of them. Do you still feel the same way, Ice-T? Just asking. She's got more money than anybody. She doesn't need to. She doesn't need to do this. Why are you doing this? And oddly enough, used to be a friend of and staunchly support Donald Trump. Who remembers that? When she used to follow him around like a sad puppy, like all these other celebrities used to. And as a matter of fact, on Donald Trump's Twitter feed today, posted a letter from her because of this speech. Posted a letter, a handwritten letter from her, basically telling him how wonderful he is and suggesting to him that he should run for president. Dragon says, where's Morgan Freedom when you need an explanation for this hack? No kidding. But this is pitiful. Here's what we're going to do, children. we're going to vote for Kamala Harris, okay? That's what we're going to do today, okay? It's like we're all in K2, like we're 5 years old here. Let's choose. That just irritates the hell out of me. Let us choose truth. Let us choose honor. Then you don't want me to vote at all. You don't want me to vote at all. Go get some more Kraft macaroni and cheese there. Take that girdle off. And Helter says, all I could hear is New World Order, New World Order. No kidding. And Tuck says, Ice-T has probably changed his tune a little bit since then. I do remember her making sure we all knew she was DJT. But, yeah, I am not surprised that she showed up there. Not surprised at all. I don't care. It goes on to say, another quote, America is an ongoing project. It requires commitment. It requires being open to the hard work and the hard work of democracy. And every now and then it requires standing up to life's bullies. Yeah. You mean like Joe Biden? Joe Biden was a huge bully. Everybody complained about that. All through his career, snapping at people, cussing at people, being rude, making threats. He was a bully. Who stood up to him? You going to say something to him? J.D. Vance? Not J.D. Vance. Waltz could fall into that category. I don't know too much about Vance, to be honest. And chilling, trying to get taken out behind the woodshed there. He says AOC for president. It says Oprah did not mention Trump by name, but referenced the former president and the running mate. Yeah. Despite what, another quote, despite what some would have you think, we are not so different from our neighbors. When a house is on fire, we don't ask about a homeowner's race or religion. We don't wonder who their partner is or how they voted. No, we just try to do the best we can to save them. What neighborhood are you living in? There's plenty of neighborhoods where the neighbors will just stand there and watch your shit burn with you in it screaming. And if the place happens to belong to a childless cat lady, well, we try to get the cat out too. Yeah, well, I don't see you running into a burning building. Despite what some would have you think, we are not so different from our neighbors. Yes, the hell you are. Please don't be another celebrity telling me we're all in the same damn boat. Okay? I'm clinging to driftwood and you're on the Queen Mary, bitch. All right? I heard enough of that during the whole C virus pandemic. The coof, where they were trying to get us to take the jab. Oh, we all in this together, fam. Yeah, you're chilling out on a beach somewhere, and I'm stuck here with people screaming at me because I don't have a mask and gloves. You are not in the same, you are not my neighbor. You are not on the same level with me. You are not my peer. Please stop pretending that you are. Johnny is here. Monkey says, I've seen people try to get J.D. Vance with photos of him passed out drunk, likely at parties during college, which most people would have done at one point in time. The photo I've seen of J.D. Vance is one where he's wearing a wig, looks like a woman's wig, and they're picking on him saying he's a closet trans. And I'm like, yeah, he did that like one time in college as a gag. A lot of people do dumb crap like that. It's stupid, but it doesn't mean that he really thinks or feels that way. You know what I mean? Tuck said, did she ever stand up to the Clintons? Yes. Remember how Bill treated a certain reporter when asked a question? Bill completely misheard the question and got offended over something that was never spoken. And Monkey said, don't remind me of the John Lennon song the celebrities sang. Yeah, let's take John Lennon out of context and make it our mantra. Oh, God, that was sickening. Monkey. That was sickening. I remember that. Will Ferrell and all of them. Oh, the people. Shut up. Nobody, you are not. We are not in it together. We are not you. We are not together. Johnny Future said, Arnold told us, screw your freedom. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I put up a great meme I made about that, actually. I don't think I have it handy. But it's the one where he... It's the one where he got his citizenship papers. He was made an American citizen, and he, if you look up his name, it says American politician. Did you know that? It doesn't even say he's an actor when you search for it. Let me find that image for you so that you can get sick with me. You can get sick with me. It's too bad everybody can't see what I'm doing. You can hear it. Some people are listening and not watching. Here's that image. And I put this up I think last year actually, or no, it was, and it's with the caption, "Screw your freedom, screw your freedom." And that's what I mean. And we're not on the same level as this guy. And I've thought about doing a whole separate video on the subject because I'm tired of that. I am tired of celebrities and that nonsense. We are not peers. We are not on the same level. The situations that you're trying to create and force on us will not affect you the same way. Take away our guns. Take away our try to put caps on medication. Try to put caps on food. Try to make curfews, make other regulations and laws, whatever the hell you come up with, indoctrinating socialism into the United States. It's not going to affect those people the same it does us. It's not going to harm these celebrities. I can't be armed, but you've got armed guards. If something goes wrong, I got nowhere to go. You can get in your private jet and fly to your home in Jamaica or wherever the hell you get a hit out. We don't have those options. We are not the same. We are not in anything together. We are not in anything together with these people that want to make decisions for us. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of hearing it. Can't you just shut up and just act or write or play the guitar or whatever the hell it is you think you do? And probably not even that well. And then you want to talk about truth and honor. Where the hell is the truth? Where's the honor? This next thing, Johnny says they get 24-hour protection. What do I have? ADT. Yeah, they'll call somebody for you. Sometime in the next 20 minutes to a half an hour, a police car might show up. They can help to clean up the mess. Or they rope the place off for you after you get chopped to pieces. That's what they can do for you. Speaking of honesty and transparency, this is finally being called out. This is a Fox News article, and this hit the news a couple days ago. Okay, U.S. economy created 818,000 fewer jobs than previously reported. That's damn near 1 million jobs that was lied about. I'm going to read this article, and I'm going to tell you something about this because I knew this. U.S. job growth during much of the past year was significantly weaker than previously reported. According to the new data published Wednesday, the Bureau of Statistics revised down its total tally of jobs created in the year through March by 818,000. That's nearly 1 million jobs. It's part of its preliminary annual benchmark review of payroll data. That suggests the economy added an average of 174,000 jobs per month during the time period, below the previous 242,000 estimate. On a monthly basis, that amounts to about 68,000 fewer jobs. It's the largest markdown since 2009, the largest revision. Quote, the labor market appears weaker than originally reported, according to Jeffrey Roach. A deteriorating labor market will allow the Fed to highlight both sides of the dual mandate, and investors should expect the Fed to prepare markets for a cut at the September meeting. The revised data is mostly derived from state unemployment tax records that employees are required to file. The figure, which is preliminary, may be updated when the government releases the final figure in February 2025. As we talked about before, okay, whenever they talk about, the last quarter we gained X number of jobs, or last month we got X number of jobs, all that is data reported on the people that fell off of unemployment. It doesn't mean they found a job. So it's misleading anyways. But every single report since the Biden administration has had a major revision. This is the largest one. the one that just happened. So every single report that was released to the press that they showed to pander to the current executive branch, the Biden administration, oh, we added this month 288,000 jobs or whatever the hell number they had, was a dishonest number. And then on the next cycle, they revised the old number to a more accurate one, lowering it by tens, if not hundreds of thousands of counts. But that revision is never posted in the media. They only post the good one. They don't post the shitty one. But this one was too big to ignore. It's damn near 1 million that the administration misled the American people about. And again, it's not accurate anyway. Like I said, it's just a drop off. It's just a drop off from unemployment. Tuck says they remember in the 90s when Rosie O'Donnell was rabidly anti-2A while she had men with SMGs patrolling her estate. That is correct. And I'll give her credit, though. She's the only person who her whole career did not like Donald Trump. She never liked Donald Trump. Everyone else kissed his ass until he ran for president. Rodney says these celebrities advocate for open borders while they lounge by the pool with their walled mansions with armed guards protecting them. The hypocrisy is palpable. And Raccoon has joined us. Glad you could make it today. Tuck says what's pathetic is how everyone has some form of internet access, yet they still believe government job statistic reports. Yeah. You believe most of what they see. They don't even read the story. They read the title. They read the title. They might read the intro. And then they never research any of it. They don't go and check on any of this stuff because people are lazy and dumb. I'm sorry. Most people are not that smart, and even more of them are lazy, and they don't bother to look. But the problem is the first thing that you hear, it tends to stick in people's minds. And so if some other data comes up, they're like, no, that's not what I heard. Did you ever research it? Or did you just believe the first damn thing that you saw? People are stubborn that way. So you can add ignorance to the list. Fluke Man says if they want to take your guns, then they should have the right to take the private armed guards. I think we should all run around with bats. Helter says the adjustment sounds like a ploy to get the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates ahead of the election. But they've been doing it for 3.5 years. It's been pretty consistent with numbers larger than any other in history. As it pointed out, it's the largest revision since 2009. And Anarchy is here from Minnesota. But this is important because they have been changing those numbers for the last 3.5 years. And big numbers, not like in the past where they messed up and, we made a mistake by 20,000 for the country. No, it's more like we made a mistake by 189,000, 210,000, and this time 818,000 was the error. And it keeps getting bigger and bigger. And during the Biden administration to cover up his shitty numbers. Oh, but yeah, Oprah, tell me about transparency and honesty. Tell me again. Tell me again, baby. Whisper it to me. Dragon says, wait till the election. There'll be millions of votes that previously never existed. Yeah, biggest landslide in history. Biggest landslide in history. Going to jump to a Telegraph article. This happened a couple of days ago. You've probably heard this by now. Harley Davidson hits the brakes on their woke diversity targets. Yeah, Harley Davidson under fire. So is Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels is walking this back as well. Harley Davidson has dropped a slew of diversity targets following criticism that the motorcycle brand has gone, quote, woke. The company announced it was ditching a scoring system that rates how inclusive businesses are for Alphabet Mafia people following an internal stakeholder review. It has put all sponsorship deals under review, stating that its primary focus will be retaining its loyal writing community, which is what it should have been doing anyways. It also announced it will no longer adhere to targets to purchase supplies from female or minority-owned groups. It is crucial to our business that we hire and retain the best talent and that all employees feel welcome, a company spokesman said. That said, we have not operated a DEI function since April of 2024. That's not that long ago. And we do not have a DEI function today. We do not have hiring quotas, and we no longer have supplier diversity spend goals. You just stopped doing that. Don't act like it's a big deal now. You tell me that 5 years from now, okay? You tell me that 5 years from now. The about turn follows a backlash among its conservative customer base, spearheaded by Robbie Starbuck, an activist who began criticizing Harley-Davidson's diversity push in June. Mr. Starbuck won a raft of support on social media, including Elon Musk, who said the company's DEI policy doesn't sound super compatible with the customers. No, it is not. Although, I can see why they were doing it, because Harley-Davidson is a publicly traded company now. It's no longer independent. And Vanguard and BlackRock are two of the biggest stakeholders. So, gee, I wonder why they were doing that. Tuck says, another joke from the 90s. Harley was made in USA with wheels assembled in Australia with components manufactured in Southeast Asia. And Flukeman says, if I'm not mistaken, the majority of the HD customers are straight white males. Yeah, this is the bike of choice of, say, the Hells Angels. It's supposed to be American as hell and hardcore. Although, again, I'm in Georgia. There are motorcycle clubs out here, including all black motorcycle clubs, who I have seen riding Harley Davidsons. So not 100% necessarily white angled, but part of Americana, shall we say? Part of Americana. And yeah, do you really want to upset that fan base? Because the allure of it being part of Americana is what keeps Harley Davidson in business. Honestly, that's what's keeping them in business. And Johnny says Harley Davidson is walking it backwards, could not be because of their customer base majority is on the right. And then Helter said they claim that they value the feedback of the customers, yet when the feedback is negative, it's designed to divide. No, Harley divided itself from their customers. And again, remember also, Jack Daniels, I think I saw a story today, Jack Daniels is also going through the same thing where they said, okay, we've got to get away from the DEI. People aren't buying the product anymore. And that's really why they're walking it back. Rodney said Odd Man Out news went through the Harley-Davidson website and leaked international documents. It showed they are sticking to the DEI, just lying about ditching it. Interesting. Interesting. And we'll see if that gets exposed or not. We'll see if that gets We'll see if that gets exposed or not. Rodney says, whenever I mention the major shareholders, my comment is deleted by ScrewTube. Well, they don't want you talking about that, Rodney. They want you to keep that to yourself. You can't talk about them. It's kind of like Born Identity. And if you say certain words on the phone, they come and find you. They say, we've got a hit. We've got a hit on this. Somebody says cornerstone or something, or some buzzword, and it alerts their computers. Now this is one that really pisses me off. This story makes me mad. Okay, here we go. Fox News article. Massachusetts officials shut down a boys' charity ice cream stand. You just can't leave shit alone. I tell you what, a boy from Norwood, Massachusetts. I'm actually not very familiar with Norwood, although I grew up in Massachusetts. Has gotten creative after town officials shut down his ice cream stand, citing a food code violation. Danny Doherty, 12 years old, and his mother Nancy began a small stand in their neighborhood with some profits going to charity that hits close to home for them. After 1 week, they had to stop the sale of their homemade ice cream. Quote, I think the most disappointing part of that was that someone, one of our neighbors, somebody driving by, decided to take the time to complain about a kid's stand, according to Nancy. And that's really my angle with this. I was really not mad. I'd say more disappointed that it happened, she added. I'd have been mad shit because it wasn't someone driving by, okay? Because they wouldn't have had too many details if it was just a drive-by. It was definitely a neighbor who didn't like them. It just was, because people are dirty. People are dirty, and they probably wait for opportunities like this to screw over one of their neighbors that they hate. This is the neighbor who goes around with a yardstick in the middle of the night measuring your grass so they can call code compliance if it's like a half-inch over. Shit like that, man. I hate people. I tell you what, that's why I take care of animals. When her son became bored during summer vacation, Nancy gave him the idea to start an ice cream stand and donate half the proceeds to charity. And of course, yeah, the other half you need to buy supplies. That makes sense. I suggested it to him. Instead of a lemonade stand, you really want to generate interest? Why don't you make ice cream? Okay. And they called it Tree Street Treats. The two made vanilla and shaved chocolate and cannoli and a New England fluffernutter. And everybody thought it was fun. A good amount of people came by. Half the proceeds were donated to the Boston Bears Club, which is a special education hockey team, because it's his brother's hockey team, blah, blah, blah. So what happened? The Norwood Health Department, this is the quote, this is the letter of cease and desist. Norwood Health Department has received complaints that you are making and selling scooped ice cream and cookies at your residential property. The Massachusetts Food Code 105 CMR 590 does not allow for the sale of ice cream that's made in your home. Cease and desist these activities. Bastards. Bastards. Flukeman says, I've always seen people rides Harley Davidsons are rough and tough men you wouldn't want to mess with. As a Gen X kid in the 90s, watched many biker movies. Now it's, I better not say it. Yeah. Anarchy says, kids with lemonade stands better take notice. That's a big deal in lemonade stands. And Country, I don't know if they still do it, Country Time Lemonade, a couple of years back, on their website, they said if you are a kid with a lemonade stand and you've been shut down, because they get thousands of complaints every year, Country Time, that if you had a lemonade stand that was shut down by code compliance or somebody in your community, they will provide an attorney for you if you want to get represented. That's how big of a deal it is. Sven says, dude, they went after the Amish, they'll destroy you. No kidding. No kidding. Rodney says, neighbors from hell is one of the reasons why I want to move to a sparsely populated area. Chillin' Dave suggests that the family's minority. Yeah, we know what you mean. Johnny says, I'm surprised the mother was not wise enough to just say from the start, donations accepted and not for sale sign. I'm surprised she didn't know this by now. Well, I mean, most people probably wouldn't think to do that, to be honest. Most people would not think to do that. But some piece of shit neighbor ratted them out. That actually looks pretty good. Ratted them out. And the health department gave him a cease and desist order. And I hate that. I hate that. My son did a lemonade stand. My son did a lemonade stand. He was pretty damn good at it. He would do it on the weekends, and this was when I still lived in Kansas. And he would do the whole thing. He would go to Family Dollar. He'd buy the mix. He would buy sugar. He'd mix it up himself. He'd get ice. He had a little table and a chair and everything, and he'd set it up on the corner. Although he got carried away with it, he would tell people crazy things. But he was making a couple $100 a weekend. It was crazy. One guy gave him $100 tip, but he was telling crazy stories. And one time I got a phone call from a police detective who was mad because he's this young kid. Why is this young kid out here from all the way in North Topeka selling lemonade? And I'm like, well, first of all, he's not a young kid. He's just short. Ask him for his ID. Because he was short. He was short. Okay. So you would look at him and you're thinking 12, but he's like 16. Second of all, he's not from all the way across the bridge. He actually lives in the building that he's standing in front of. Did you think to ask him for identification? You're calling me complaining? Ask him how much he made today. Oh, he used to crack me up. He was good at it, though. He's always been a good salesman. He's always been a good salesman. He outsold. I know I'm down a rabbit hole. Sorry. When he went to junior high school, okay, and I had to put him in. I had to put him in public school. I had to put him in public school because of the courts and the whole custody thing. Don't even get me started. All right. They wouldn't allow for him to be homeschooled, and I couldn't afford private. They insisted on, the court ordered him in public school. But you know, they sell the cards, right? The coupon code cards. You know, buy one pizza get one free at CC's, and you know, whatever the cards they sell for $5 a piece. And he did that when he was in junior high. He put on a suit and he went door to door and he sold cards by himself. Didn't want me going with him. Wanted to do it himself. He didn't sell me any. Didn't want me to buy him. Wanted to do it himself. He outsold the school, not his class or his grade, the school. They gave him every prize. The company couldn't believe it. They gave him every prize. He got the Chuck E. Cheese party. He got the limo ride. He got everything. Unbelievable. He's always been good at that, though. Flukeman says, assuming HOA doesn't allow a lemonade stand, there's that possibility, too. HOAs are a nightmare. It's like these little mini awful governments. Johnny says, this is exactly one reason why I rarely ever talk to my neighbors, even living here for 11 years. The less we know about each other, the better. I do not blame you. I do not blame you. Because most of the time, they'll stab you in the back. I went through a lot of that in Illinois with the neighbor that was living behind us was a real bastard. Guy across the street wasn't so bad, but the guy behind us was terrible. As we get ready to jump back into the actual news and stop talking about my own personal news. But anyways, that ice cream stand story just made me angry. Because, I mean, how much government overreach do you need? Leave people the hell alone. That's all most people want. Just leave me the hell alone, man. My kid's trying to sell ice cream. Piss off. I need some bureaucrat coming and wrapping us in red tape. Screw you. Newsweek article. I don't understand this. Why is this news? 500,000 migrant spouses of U.S. citizens get pathway to green cards. Listen to this. Listen to this fluff piece. Around 500,000 undocumented immigrant spouses of United States citizens, along with thousands of stepchildren, now have the ability to apply for permanent resident or green card status. The Department of Homeland Security announced Monday that it was opening the pathway to permanent residency for some husbands and wives who entered the U.S. without admission or parole. Under the new pathway, which began August 19th, the children of those non-citizens also born outside the U.S. may also be eligible. I'm sorry, haven't they done this for decades? I remember them making fun of this on the TV show Taxi in the 70s. Latka was supposed to be from France, if you didn't know that. He was supposed to be from France, and he was not an American citizen. And on the show, and remember, this is the mid to late 70s, okay? Married a prostitute on the show to get a green card. When can you not marry an American citizen and get a freaking green card? How are they acting like this is brand new? Well, once again, this is them playing on the idea that they know most people are dumb. All right? Quote, too often non-citizen spouses of U.S. citizens, many of the mothers and fathers, lived with uncertainty due to undue barriers in our immigration system. Yeah. DHS estimates that more than 2/3 of all non-citizens without lawful immigration status but who are married to U.S. citizens were previously not eligible to apply for what is known as an adjustment status. I don't believe it. I don't believe that. Fluke Man says if your son is a good salesman, maybe he can negotiate to sell far left to Africa and the Middle East. Yeah. Actually, he is a vintage toy dealer in Illinois. He no longer works for UPS. He used to work for UPS after I worked there, but he has his own business and he sells vintage toys and stuff, mostly at conventions. Makes a pretty good living. Johnny says it's not because someone got poisoned by a lemonade stand. It's because the city needs more funding, so they require you to buy a license. That's right. You have to get a permit, and you won't make enough money selling after paying for that permit, I'm sure. I'm sure you won't. Oh, my God. It's toxic. The news is toxic. But since when could you marry an American citizen and not get a green card out of it? Or have a kid overseas or with an immigrant and that child not be like grandfather? I forget what the term is for when you're a citizen and you have a child with someone who isn't, but then that child is automatically considered a citizen, something that is not done in a lot of countries. Why are we pretending like this is brand new? It kills me when the news announces something and I'm like, yeah, we kind of been doing that. We kind of been doing that. Tuck says 20 years ago he knew a lesbian who married a guy for $25,000 so he could get citizenship. When I worked at AmVets thrift stores, which I think is connected to Value Village, I could be wrong about that. AmVets in Allston, Massachusetts. I worked there. There was a woman there from Brazil who was not a citizen, and she was looking to do something similar. She asked around to a couple of guys, and was willing to pay them $10,000 to marry her on paper, so that she could get citizenship. Because she, in case she got deported. So, I mean, that's been a thing. That's been a thing. Don't act like it's brand new. I know most people are not that smart, but you don't have to treat them that way. I think that's what annoys me about a lot of these news stories. They treat you like you're dumb. They take advantage of it. Speaking of dumb, I give you Kennedy. Wow, another example of just a really bad photo there. We saw that one a couple of those yesterday. I think they deliberately take the worst picture they can of some of these people, so that they can put them on and make them look stupid in the media. But here we go. And who has this? News Nation article. RFK Jr. to address the nation amid rumored campaign uncertainty. So, independent presidential candidate Robert Kennedy Jr. will address voters Fridays, days after his running mate said Kennedy may join forces with Republican president nominee Trump. So he did, which we talked about this already. He talked real bad about Trump and then went crawling to him for a job during the RNC. Crawling, saying that he would, I'll endorse you, I'll do anything. After he bashed and badmouthed Trump, I would not hire this guy. Just saying, okay? The event will air live from Phoenix, Arizona at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Kennedy will stream the event on X and other social media platforms, blah, blah, blah. It's unclear exactly what Kennedy plans to speak about. The release from his campaign said he will discuss the present historical moment and his path forward. Here's my question for Kennedy. Who told you you're still running? Who told you you were ever in it? They're acting like he's not even out there. You know, this is between the Republican and Democrat candidate, period. We know this. It's pretty freaking obvious that no independent has a shot. They rarely ever do anyways. Kennedy, is he even still in the running? He can't even get on the ballot in New York anymore. They threw him out. I mean, he's appealing it. But, I mean, if he can't get on the ballot in one whole state, I mean, give me a break. Cornel West is still trying to run too, isn't he? That old bum. Cornel West is another nut. It's Cornel West, right? Am I saying his name right? Am I mixing him up with somebody else? I can't remember everything, folks. I can't remember everything. I try. But why does he think he's even still in the running? Does he still have campaign money he has to burn? What are you doing, Kennedy? I don't know. But it just strikes me. It strikes me as interesting. I mean, I imagine he would have to get out there at some point and say, yeah, okay, I see I'm done here. I see I'm done. Nobody wants to bother to debate him. Nobody wants to interview him. Nobody wants to talk to him. I mean, I've seen him in a couple of YouTube interviews. Nothing huge. Tuck said he'll be the scorpion to the turtle. Invoking images of Aesop's fables, correct? Aesop's fables. That used to be required reading in junior high school. They don't do that anymore. It was the prerequisite to philosophy, which they also don't have in school anymore. And philosophy, the important thing about philosophy is being able to think outside of the box, to be able to understand things from other people's perspectives, which most young people cannot do. Cannot do. And something about this was mentioned earlier. Oh, by the way, the cats, because we talked about the cats earlier this week, and a couple of people helped out with donations to the channel as a result of that. And I really appreciate that. Trying to reach out to Paws Atlanta to see if they can help, but their phone service says it'll be at least 48 hours before they call you back. And also that the law does not allow for them to take strays. And if you're surrendering a, quote, pet, that they'll charge you $75 a piece for them if they accept your application. And I'm like, I'm not thinking Paws is going to be able to help. Oh, man. But I'll get it done. I'll get it sorted out sooner or later. Again, I'm juggling 20 right now. Daniel's staying, though. Daniel stays. Uncle stays. I got a few I just can't let go of. But it is what it is. I love them all, so it's hard. Tuck says, yes, Aesop, it wasn't required in my schools. I read them as a child in our encyclopedias at home. That's good. That is good. We talked about. Yeah, Jane says, "Oh my, pause, leave them and move on." Yeah, they're not gonna. Yeah, I don't trust them now. Also, another thing that's important to consider is pause is supposed. Well, the reason I was looking at it is because they're supposed to be. There's supposed to be a no-kill shelter, but as I've slowly discovering, no-kill shelters still put them down too. They just do it differently. Basically, if you go through the state, usually they're they've got tenure, a reverse tenure. That is, if they're there too long, whatever the length of time is, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, when the time's up, and they get the needle. In these so-called no-kill shelters, they vote on it. So yeah, Fluffy's been hanging around for a while. Do we keep Fluffy or do we put him down? Yay or nay? The yays have it. Bye, Fluffy. Basically, like that. They go through a voting process with their administration and whoever their resident vet is, but they're still executing animals, and I find that distasteful. Not all of them, because there are not all of them, because there are certain private run shelters where they don't have the heart, and that's my issue too. If I gave any of these or surrendered any of the ones that I'm working with to a so-called no-kill shelter and found out they put any down, I'd have some stuff to repent for, because that would really upset me. Anyways, Daily Caller article. The Daily Caller. Taxpayer-funded group offers $30,000 to new home buyers as long as they are not U.S. citizens. Yeah. So Hacienda Community Development Corporation is participating in a taxpayer-funded down payment assistance program that gives money to non-citizens to buy homes in Oregon while excluding American citizens from eligibility, according to the records that have been provided by the Daily Caller. Hacienda CDC is reportedly offering $30,000 for down payment assistance for eligible new home buyers through their Camino a Casa program, according to a screenshot first reported by ex-user Oregon Citizen. Clients work closely with financial coaches in HUD, that's Housing and Urban Development, certified housing counselors throughout the entirety of the home buying process. In addition to mortgage readiness and financial fitness workshops, we provide various opportunities for down payment assistance, the organization states. Must be nice. The eligibility requirements include being a non-citizen. Republican Oregon State Representative Ed Deal told the Daily Caller that he received confirmation from Business Oregon that Hacienda CDC is using these funds for non-citizens while excluding American citizens. And quote, American citizens in Oregon are struggling to find and buy a new home. We have a severe housing shortage in this state. I am appalled that the hard-earned limited tax dollars of Oregonians are being used to prioritize home ownership for certain non-U.S. citizens. Oregon can't end this state-sponsored discrimination soon enough, according to Deal. And I agree. Tuck says, my strays have been coming and going. I can only hope someone is taking them in. A new female who's pregnant stopped coming to supper, so did a big male I call Tom Tom. He's 100% house cat. If she was pregnant, she might have nested somewhere, and she may turn back up when they can start moving on their own. So just watch out for that. And they're very vulnerable to illness at that stage. Fluke Man said, did any of the pet shelters do any investigation at anyone who wants to adopt pets, checking the potential owner's houses, neighborhood, and etc.? I'm not sure how that works on that end. I know that I've seen applications from some of those shelters where you fill out your address. They ask for income information, where do you work, things like that. So I guess they want to make sure that you can afford to take care of an animal in the first place. But, I don't know how far that extends because I've not adopted a pet that way. Pretty much every animal I've ever had has been a rescue from somewhere. And Flute Man says, I see your Friskies ad, the cookies doing their jobs. I had a Friskies ad? Oh, yeah, right there. It must have heard me. My cell phone heard me say cat, and it sent Friskies ads to the thing. That's scary. And Semper Fi says, sorry, I missed the live today. Was cutting firewood. That's okay. It's good exercise. I'm going to have to start cutting soon myself. My wife loves the fireplace. So I keep her very well stocked with wood. She likes to watch me cut it. But here we go. It says the EEIP was initially given $15 million to distribute to organizations that would uphold their equity requirements and help individuals buy land and property, start businesses, and build intergenerational wealth. In 2024, the state legislature allocated another $8 million to the EEIP fund to fund organizations, including Hacienda CDC, that provides culturally, this is a quote from Hacienda, culturally responsive services to support economic stability, self-sufficiency, wealth building, and economic equity among disadvantaged individuals, families, businesses, and communities. That's a lot of bullshit, and they're probably skimming a lot off the top. I don't trust any of these companies. I wouldn't be surprised to a year from now read an article from whoever the director of Hacienda CDC is, Community Development Corporation, and find out they were living high on the hog from these donations, misappropriating them. I wouldn't be surprised at all, because I read, again, on top of reading pretty much every week an article, it seems, about some lawmaker ripping off the community. I read something about someone who's running a charity ripping off a community. And also, I'm tired of hearing about building generational wealth. You don't need to build generational wealth. You're not going to turn everybody into millionaires. But getting someone to square one could be really good. Square one is nice. Square one is a good place to be. I'd be happy to be at square one. I don't need to be a millionaire. I don't need to be a billionaire. I don't need 12 cars and 5 houses. One good house, one good vehicle. I'd be happy. Enough land for my critters. So, fortunately for me, there's plenty of space behind the house, and they can go in the woods if they want to, although several of them use the habitats that we have set up. And a lot of them sleep on the porch at night. They like to stay close. And Jane has to go. Glad you could join us today. But it bothers me, again, that you're putting foreigners ahead of natural-born citizens. And when you do that, you create a lot of problems. You create a lot of problems for people. You create a great deal of problems within your own country. And you only see this in Western governments. And it's a mistake. It's a mistake, and it's a step towards socialism. And you've got to be really careful with those steps. Everybody thinks they want socialism because they think they're going to get something for free. Nothing is free. Nothing is free. It's all tax dollars. And sooner or later, there isn't enough left to go around. And then that's when they start crushing everybody, because they get desperate. The government gets desperate to maintain control, and they'll take it out on everyone. But with that, we are at the top of the hour. So I will go ahead and start signing off. Again, you are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk. And you can find the live portion Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Coffee Talk and Prepper University on YouTube. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat. You can find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. Surrounded by cats as always. Daniel stayed with me the whole time. So did Uncle. Laying in the doorway there, the big blob right in the doorway, keeping me company. He's a good boy. So, hey, thank you, everybody who was able to join us here today. Hope you got something out of the conversation.